starting with the vertebra, we have, going down the line, this is a real, this is a real spine, as you can see. And if you look at this, as compared to this thing here, you can really see how different it is, all right? We've looked at our spinal nerves before, but we have 7 cervical vertebrae, 12 thoracic, right? 5 lumbar, and then we have, then we have our sacrum. And then this one doesn't have the coccyx bone on the end of it, but that
It's
one
underneath
does.
it.
Is it? Oh, it's attached. Oh, I see it now. So the coccyx, and you see how fragile it is, and it can break. So, but when we're looking at our vertebra and the processes on our vertebra, okay.
That was 7, 5, 12.
7, 5, 12. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
That was a neuron firing there, folks. Whew. If we look at this, the first 7 are cervical, then we have thoracic, and we have 12 thoracic. Why do we have 12 thoracic? 12 ribs, right? And then we have 5 lumbar at the bottom. The first 2 vertebrae that we have are pretty important. The first one is called the atlas, and you know, when I think atlas, I think of a globe, and literally the head, the globe, the head sits right on this one, okay? The occipital condyles that we just did on our test, you see where those blue markings are? That's actually fused to the skull. So these articulating facets, these superior articulating facets, are actually fused to the occipital condyles, okay? And it allows it to rotate on the axis. So we have the atlas first, okay? And we have the axis, which is right below it, okay? And the dens is this piece here, okay? All right, that's the dens, the projection that sits up. And the vertebrae prominens is cervical vertebra number 7. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it's the first one, because these are kind of bifurcated up top here, it's the first one that's closed together. But C7 is vertebra prominens. Okay? Our thoracic vertebra, we have what are called facets. And facets are these flat areas that articulate with other things. Superior articulating facet, inferior articulating facet. They allow the vertebrae to articulate with each other, okay? So with the thoracic, the one unusual thing that we're going to see, as opposed to, we're going to see what is called a demifacet, and it is a place or articulation for the ribs, okay? So if we look right here, and a demifacet is just, demi means what? Half. So if we look here, and they're not real great, but do you see right here? That is one place where one whole rib will come out. So the rib sits right in between the 2 vertebrae. Does everybody see that? So this right here, that's going to be the demifacet. Both of those are demifacets. Does everybody see that? It's where the 2 pieces, where the rib is going to come around, and it's going to articulate on the surface right here of the processes, okay?
So the demifacets are just where the ribs are?
The demifacet is where the ribs articulate, okay? And they also have a spot on the transverse processes where that little flat spot there, you see that? That's where they articulate as well, okay? You can just kind of cups them. Then we have the sacrum, which is down here. Just this one whole piece. Oh yeah, there we go. Here's just a plastic one with the coccyx bone already there. Then we have the sternum, which is going to be on one of the skeletons. The sternum is going to be in the center.
All right, come. Write down your email address.
the sternum, which is here. We have the manubrium, which is at the top. Okay, this is the body, and this is the xiphoid process. Okay, and if we look at the ribs, and we're not going to be able to see all the pieces of that, but the rib, we have the head, okay, and the head is what articulates with that demifacet. The tubercle is over here, and it articulates with the transverse process, okay. And then we have 12 ribs, right? Okay. These two at the bottom are called floating ribs, right? Right. And then the last three above that are called false ribs. They're called false ribs because their cartilage is attached to the cartilage of rib number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Okay. So these three ribs, 8, 9, and 10, are called false because they don't have their own cartilage. Their cartilage attaches to the cartilage of rib number 7. Do you see how all these have their own cartilage that attack directly to the body of the sternum? Okay, so the first 7 are true ribs, the next 3 are false ribs, and then the last 2 are floating. Okay. Now, one thing you'll have to do as far as looking at the rib itself, on the other page it tells us you need to identify pedicle, lamina, body, spinous process, transverse process, vertebral foramen, superior articulating process, inferior articulating process, and intervertebral foramen. Woo, that's a lot of stuff for one little vertebra, right? So if we look at this, we have a pedicle. Let me just make sure where my pedicle is. Okay, the pedicle, and see this is a, what you call it, the pedicle, if I can get another vertebra, I need some of the loose real vertebra, and these are all thoracic here, it looks like. The pedicle is going to be this region right in here, okay, from the articulating surface. So this is the pedicle right there, okay. Then we have the lamina, okay, which is going to be, and again, this is on the cervical vertebra here, okay, of the axis, but the lamina is going to be in that region too. Let's not, we'll look at those in a little bit, okay. Then we have the spinous process on the back, transverse process here, vertebral foramen, the foramen that the vertebra goes through, right? Superior articulating process, this is the superior articulating process or superior articulating facet, right? And if you look at the bottom, there's an inferior articulating process, okay? And then the intervertebral foramen, that is the foramen. You see these holes right here? It is the holes that are made this way. Okay, that's an intervertebral foramen from the ribs, or excuse me, the vertebrae sitting on top of each other. So that would be an intervertebral foramen. Okay? All right, let's go. That's the difference. This is what's confusing me. That's why I was looking at that. That was a cervical vertebra, and I should have known. I just hadn't looked. That's the first time I've looked at a vertebra in a while. I apologize. The difference between the cervical vertebra is you see how it is structured. The pedicle and the lamina are kind of on the same thing. On a thoracic vertebra, the pedicle is going to be here, right, and the lamina is going to be here. That's why I was looking at that one. I was like, it can't be in the same spot. Pedicle is here, lamina is here. Okay. Pedicle is here, and lamina is here. What I was looking at a minute ago was the axis, which is a cervical vertebra, and they're structured a little bit different. Okay. All right.
Thank you so much.